Again, it is a beautiful day, and I want to say that we're all lucky, blessed to be alive today because a lot happened yesterday. Now, not just about people who are thinking negative. A lot of positive things happened yesterday. For me, I have a habit of, appraising myself on a daily basis before I sleep. So I did that yesterday, and a lot of what we did in the morning on Weekend Deal, the same set yesterday, came to fore. And I told myself I must think of my retirement because pension may not be all that I need to survive after work. Yesterday we started a conversation here. We mentioned that we were going to be looking at retirement and pension, and yesterday we did extensive discussion and insight on retirement, what it means, and who should be retiring at what age and what should be doing. But then when you talk about retirement, it's synonymous for a lot of people with pension, and that's money. Today we intend to delve full-time into the monetary aspects and augmentation of income for the pensioners. That is our thrust for today. But someone has taken time to package the background for us. Let's see it.
Over the years, the management of pension scheme in Nigeria has been inundated by multiple and diverse problems, arising from which retirement becomes dreaded by workers, especially in the public service.
Pension is literally what is expected of one who put in 35 years of service or 60 years of age in service to take home one or two things to attend to his life even after service. And it's one of those things that every government must ensure that pensioners don't lack in this regard, because if you do, you are shortchanging them and you are going to put pains into the remaining part of their life.
Retirement planning is something a lot of people put off until much later in life. However, a retirement scheme is a way of providing an employee with either a lump sum of money when leaving the service of an employer or providing a pension to the employee.
The reason this gratuity is not coming as and when due is the fact that we have a lot of people who do what I call witch hunting. I must pay him back for all that he did to me while he was in the office. That's one. Two, the fact that the system is collapsed. Because if the system is not collapsed, there should be means to transport files in the office. But you find out that if you don't follow up your file, even sometimes you follow up your file, they will frustrate you.
It's a bureaucratic thing. Unfortunately, those in charge tend to forget that they too will also be pensioners if God allows them to see the light of their life. Unfortunately, it's been approached in a manner that it doesn't speak well of those in service, because if you don't attend to those who are living, right, and then allow them to have access to their pension proceed, then you have also not helped your matter, because you also that is now processing someone's pension this thing, someone is also waiting to also process your own.
Despite several moderations of retirement benefits for workers in Nigeria, pension fund has been characterized by outright corruption and embezzlement, mismanagement and diversion of funds over the years.
Unfortunate situation. It has already eaten in deep into the fabric of society. Corruption is pandemic. It's not just corona or what you call it that is corruption itself is pandemic. So, but unfortunately, it's something that has eaten into us, and for us to get out of it, it takes time. But of course, with reforms, with orientation, right, and with strengthening the punitive step by government, I think this corruption can be nip in the bud.
When the system is collapsed and the system is not okay, you find out that a lot of things take place. And because of that, a lot of things are not functioning the way they should function. And that's because we have this orientation of a mindset that is a national cake. I eat my own, I go, you come and eat your own. Even when you want to do it right, they will ask you, is it your father's own? So until we remove that mindset of national cake, let's go and eat our own, now that is our time, and this is our opportunity to eat the national cake, we go nowhere.
There are new changes in the way pension assets are managed today and benefits distributed to beneficiaries as a result of the difficulties associated with the pension scheme previously in existence. The importance of pension provision will continue to grow as individuals begin to place less reliance on family to look after them in old age and begin to face the reality that they need to look after themselves by building a viable alternative for the future.
In our mind, in our system, in everything that concerns us, we need total overhaul and surgery, complete surgery, total annihilation of system, and then rebuild our mindset, rebuild our orientation, make us think Nigeria first before we think of our pocket.
All you need to have is, a vibrant process as far as pension reforms are concerned. And this government, under the leadership of Mr. President, has hit the nail properly by ensuring that every person who works in pension office must himself get reformed. So that when you are processing pensioners' document for action, you must never look towards being corrupt or wanting to sit on somebody's file because you need to be given one or two things before you proceed, before you stamp your authority on any file. So we are talking about reform in this case, and it must be given every support so that at least the reform in the pension activities would see the light of the day.
The success of the pension reform largely depends on the sincerity, collaboration, and commitment of all stakeholders. Therefore, our focus on Weekend Deal today will be on pension administration and related issues in Nigeria. Weekend Deal!
All right, so we now know where we're going to, and a whole lot will come out of this discussion today. We know that we are expecting someone who will be clearing certain things. I don't want to call his name, but I tell you something. Is someone that you will want to, speak with when the time comes, when he sits with us here to answer a lot of questions. Now, in Ibadan, the producer there took time to look at verification, data collection. I don't know, for a lot of us who are in the civil service, I think we've been able to do this verification nothing less than 3 or 4 times. Some people tell me actually they do that every year. I don't know how, but what is it all about and what is the intention? NT Ibadan will provide the answers.
For any nation or government to function effectively, our working populace or civil service must be top-notch, as they are the engine room of the economy. The civil service is the backbone of any successful government. It is made up of career officers recruited in civil capacity to serve the citizenry. By their training, they are equipped to champion the cause of development, implement and ensure evaluation of government policies and programs, as they help to propagate the action plan. There is need for the government to take proper care of its civil service in terms of prompt payment of salaries, allowances, staff welfare, gratuities, and pensions. Many individuals have paid their dues serving government in various capacities. After retirement, the issue of their remuneration, pension, and gratuities not being paid on time and as at when due has become a big concern. The mode of payment of this emolument leave much to be desired, as aged retirees are often stressed up. Comparing the old and new method of payment, how promptly are they paid?
The old pension scheme is better than this new pension scheme, because with this new pension scheme, we find out when the pensioners or when the workers or will be pensioners, when they are at work, so they will contribute. At the end of it all, this the state government or federal government, when they need money, they just go into it, so that at the end of the whole thing, when they get get out, they don't find anything to collect.
In some states, yes. Like in Oyo State, pensions are paid as and when due, and in full. In some other states, if like in Oyo State now, Seyi Makinde has taken a date. Since he came on board May 2019, he has taken a date which is 25th day of every month.
A government official in Oyo State said premium are being placed on payments of gratuities and pensions of retired civil servants who had served the government meritoriously.
This administration has paid over 12 billion to offset some gratuity. Gradually, we are moving on. We are addressing the backlog that we made on grant. Just to let you know that the welfare takes a central role in this administration pillar.
A legal practitioner highlighted legal implication of denying pensioners their dues.
Now the law say, okay, if you have my pension with you and I'm going now, I must be paid adequately. You know, the problem is that the person who wants to sue might not have enough money. Yeah? He might not even have the God when they threaten him, oh, that okay, if you do that, you will not get your money on time. Oh, don't let me do it. Then he will recall to his own cocoon and say, oh, take care for granted. Well, let me say, whatever God says about it, will say. But they have the right to sue. But even before it degenerates to that level, the government, the authorities must know that these people have worked meritoriously for either 35 years or when they become the age of 60 when they are retired. Nobody in civilized country, anybody above the age of 60 has become senior citizen that the whole country will be taken care of. So you see, it's a sad commentary of our national development. There should have already been institutions in place that we don't even need to be complaining about the pension or whatever it is.
Here are the views of the populace on issues bordering on pensions and gratuities of retired civil servants.
Percentage of the money that is being deducted for this purpose. But you see, the money has been stolen by one person or group of persons. So those that retired now, they were not getting their pension as at Wendy.
Observers said if government sanitize and properly monitor the relevant agencies saddled with the responsibility of welfare of active and retired civil servants, the government's ideas and plans can be well executed and implemented by civil servants for the optimal goals of the nation and society at large.
All right, so next is Enugu. Now, yesterday, the president of the Nigerian Union of Pensioners was here with us, Mr. Abumisi. He stressed a lot on ability to assess what is due you at the point of retirement. Enugu actually did a package telling us the difficulty or the ease with which you can assess this. Let's go there.
The pension scheme was established in 1961 and reformed in 1979 to cater for its workforce at the point of retirement, but have been bedeviled by the various problems which then necessitated the enactment of the Pension Reform Act of 2004 by President Olusegun Obasanjo's administration, whereby both employee and employer make contributions monthly in preparation for retirement. Subsequently, pension fund administrators like Trust Fund, IBTC, etc. came on board to help in the management and payment of retirees, but under the close watch of PENCOM, a regulatory body established by government. Considering the need for the pension verification exercise, as data must be updated, it's still worrisome the stress these pensioners go through to update more often than not.
People who should be honored for having served Nigeria meritoriously are subjected to intolerable situations. The issue of capturing people's data, Nigeria as a country have never had a stable data bank. And this is why we have not been developing at the pace that we are supposed to be developing.
Unfortunately, with all the pension reforms and enactments by government, some retirees in Enugu State, especially that of the local government, say that accessing their pension and gratuity is still a Herculean task.
The experience has not been a palatable one, frankly speaking. A lot of pensioners have been owed in arrears. In fact, the last pension paid to retirees was in February 2020. That's the last month paid. The last batch of people paid gratuity was the people retired in 2005.
I have no money to pay my house rentage. My children are still at home. There's no money to pay for the school fees. Look at a retired. I have no money to go back. But we are now corporate in order to see ourselves.
Mrs. Veronica Aziojali, Senior Pharmacy Assistant, retired, is also a victim.
I retired in 2003. And since then, I've been coming and filling the forms here until I have this problem 3 years ago. And many of us have died because of hunger and heartbreak.
Speaking, the regional manager of Trust Fund, a pension fund administrator in Enugu State, Charles Ekpunobi, extracted reasons for the delay in assessing the gratuity and pension by some retirees.
People going on queue, dying on queue, that was typical of the old system. And that was one of the reasons the new scheme came into existence, to alleviate this kind of suffering.
Though the Pension Reform Act had been established since 2004, which is all about contributory pension, sadly, most states have not embraced this, Enugu State inclusive.
Enugu State has not does not do contributory pensions. In other words, it's still the pay-as-you-go system, which has to do with budgetary provision of pensioners' entitlements and their gratuities.
For retirees to always smile, approach retirement with joy and not with fear and uncertainties, let the state governments embrace contributory pension scheme.
Since the pension scheme in Nigeria is the last hope of the retired worker, it therefore becomes pertinent for all stakeholders, that is the government, employees and employers, pension fund administrators and PENCOM, to do all within their capacities to make the pension scheme more responsive and effective.
All right, thank you, Enugu. And moving on, I told you that somebody will be joining me on set to answer a lot of questions. And if you caught me a little bit before the camera caught me, you would have been shocked to see the look on my face, because he just told me something that I found a little bit unusual. I won't mention what it is, but I'm going to ask him the question, and he will say it again. I'm sure you will react the way I reacted. And I'm talking about the MD, that's the Managing Director, Premium Pensions Limited, in the person of Miarami Umar. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth.
Okay, I want to take that first, sentence you made that got me shocked.
Yes.
He said ladies are expected to outlive men. How does that work?
I didn't, you misunderstood me.
Okay.
First of all, statistics has shown it, and it's global, not only in Nigeria, that ladies actually live longer than men. So therefore, if you and I have the same amount in our purse, it will do you much better to be spending less over the time than me, because naturally it is expected you to live, you live much longer than me. That is barring all other issues that are beyond man.
Okay, so this question actually came when I asked you why there is disparity in
Yes.
pension for some people.
Yes.
You know, my colleague and I retire at the same level,
Yes.
possibly the same step.
Yes.
And when we're getting our money, he is male and female.
Yes.
I find out that his money is bigger than my own every
Yes.
month.
Yes.
That was your explanation, right?
Yes.
Okay, now explain to me the difference, because a whole lot of people do not seem to grasp it, you know, between the contributed pension and the former pension we had.
Okay, so the major difference is the fact that in the former scheme, the liability is on the employer totally. Totally. And in this new scheme, the liability is on the employee himself. That's one. Another major difference is that the old scheme was largely for government
Okay.
and big corporates. The old scheme was to a large extent not funded, and this new scheme is funded. I'm glad you told me that your retirement savings account is with Premium Pension, and I hope you're getting good service.
I'm your customer.
Okay. You would find that you get
Alerts.
regular updates on your accounts, and you see the value in your account. So in the past, people were just groping in the dark. You have no idea what has been saved for you. No one has an idea what will, if you pass away, what will come to them, and so on and so forth. So these are major differences between the old scheme and the new scheme. In this new scheme, there is less administrative encumbrances, or let me say less bureaucracy. All you need to do is to make sure that you have registered, you have a retirement savings account, your data is up to date, you regularly check things, information about like your next of kin, provide that to your pension fund administrator.
And I can change that too.
You can change that.
Okay.
You can change that at any point in time that you find necessary. In fact, we encourage people to do what the average Nigerian thinks is an abomination.
Which is?
Write a will.
Write a will. Okay.
And make sure that it is updated from time to time. You can program yourself to ensure that you go back to your will. Maybe you have a yearly review of the will. And if you need to make certain changes, you do that and things like that. So that if you pass away, it is your own instructions that will be followed.
All right. Now, in investing in pension, like you told me, it's contributory. So my contribution goes in.
Yes.
I also want to know, can I, as an individual, not as a staff of wherever organization I work, you know, have another account with you that I want to contribute, assuming maybe I go into farming and I seem to be making profit from that. Can I also open another account and continue my savings?
No, you can have only one account under the contributory pension scheme.
So can I also add this other money, you know, into that one?
Well, what you can do is to tell your employer to do more in terms of your own personal contribution, and that is called voluntary contribution. So if your farming business, for instance, gives you 10% of what you currently earn as a full-time employee, you can decide to take that 10% from your salary. You give instructions to your employer and say, you know what, increase my contributions and things like that.
Right.
And there are many tools for you to use to even arrive at what you think should be your voluntary contributions. To a large extent, the two methods are, okay, at retirement, I want to have an X amount in my retirement savings account. Looking at the average growth of the retirement savings account over, say, a period of 3 years, you can now project and say, this is how much I need to contribute to have that balance. The other option is to say, on retirement, I want to draw a certain amount every month or every quarter, periodically. So you now do the computations and you arrive at that amount, you see the difference with what your current contribution gives you, and you augment that with the voluntary contributions.
Okay. Now, earlier on when you talked about, you mentioned that the beauty of the new scheme is the ability to assess what you have.
Yes.
Now, I don't know, but some people who retired, they will tell you, okay, I'm processing my this, I got it in 2 months, I got it in 6 months, I got it in... Can't I have my pension, the lump sum paid, you know, probably a day or two after I retire? Why does it take a little while, even if it's just 2 months?
Earlier in your program, I can't remember who, but someone said that the contributory pension scheme requires collaboration. And to a large extent, this collaboration is between the employee himself, his employer, and his PFA. So if all these three people have to be on the same page. I watched this program yesterday, and I came to realize, or should I say it was reinforced, that quite a number of people see retirement as doomsday, you know, and therefore do not prepare for it and things like that. No, the reality is that you must prepare for retirement from the very first day you start working. And therefore, you begin to do those computations I mentioned earlier on. You begin to ensure that your documentation is up to speed. You ensure that your own employer also is playing his role, you know, and things like that. And your
when do I
pension,
start doing
and your
this?
pension fund administrator is playing his role from day one.
Oh, okay.
So if you get your monthly pay slip and X amount has been deducted as your own contribution to the contributory pension scheme, and you do not get an alert from your PFA within a week, ask questions.
Okay.
That's how you prepare. It's not just about documentation, you know, and things like that. When you consult your PFA, and by the way, at Premium, every RSA holder has an account officer, which makes life much easier for you. So when you consult your account officer and you do your computations, and you arrive at what you would like to earn on a periodic basis when you retire, and you see the difference, and he tells you this is what you need to do as voluntary contributions, approach your employer. Give instructions in writing that this amount should further be deducted from my salary and paid into my retirement savings account. In fact, even the government encourages that, because you know what? Pension deductions are tax deductible.
Okay. So I can actually walk in and talk with my PFA whenever I want, you know, the officer, and even if it's on regular, weekly basis, monthly basis, get clarification. Because some of us just pass by your offices. We don't know. We are entitled to going in and talking to someone.
Well, you can walk in, but let me say thank God to technology. You don't have to be at our physical offices.
Okay.
You know, I will speak for my own PFA, Premium Pension Limited. For instance, you can reach us through the website. We have a chat option. You have an online login where you see details of your account. We have a mobile app. You download the mobile app. From that mobile app, you see who your account officer is. The email address and the phone number of your account officer is there. And with just a click on that, you can reach out to the account officer and have your deductions. We have a call center that you can call into. And if you are the one who is more comfortable with the brick and mortar option, you walk into our offices anytime, any day.
All right, it's comforting to know that. Now, we'll continue. A whole lot of things are coming up on the pages. People are writing and asking questions. Okay. We'll begin to take that. But let's quickly visit Benin and get to find out a little bit more on ghost workers and challenges of ghost pensioners.
The existence of ghost pensioners is a big worldwide racket involving the theft of billions of money in countless countries.
Ghost pensioner, as the name denotes, are those pensioners that were existing that over time, due to death or sickness of not being able to attend our regular biometric verification exercise, their name keeps reflecting on the payroll without government knowing, and by so doing, siphoning government's fund via that means.
When one is retired, his or her next of kin is entitled to some emoluments. But in the process, the officers in charge will need documents, we need evidence to show that the person asking for the money of the pensioner is a bona fide member and next of kin of the deceased. They may equally ask for some other things which the person, the beneficiary, may not be able to provide. In most cases, the person asking for the money of the dead relation or husband will withdraw. And unfortunately, some officers will now corner that amount, eat the money, and still claim that such a pensioner is being paid.
There's a ghost worker that is in the employment of a particular agency, but for one reason or the other relocates, and is still getting his salaries every month and is working elsewhere.
Conversely, the challenges arising from existing ghost pensioners is said to be receiving significant attention in many areas by the authorities.
Over time, those State Pensions Bureau have put in place a periodic biometric verification exercise. And this is a way we have tried to subject all our pensioners to an on-the-spot assessment by taking their fingerprints from time to time.
As far as we are concerned in Edo State, we are yet to hear of any ghost pensioner. But even then, if it is coming, or if they have it, it will emanate from the Nigerian Union of Pensioners.
Tackling ghost pensioners may be a good stride on one hand, but how effective have these reforms particularly been of benefit to retirees?
When this administration came in, we had arrears of pension for the state pensioners, and that one has been fully paid since about February last year.
Every day, somebody retires from active service. It is a recircling order. For these retirees, delay in payments of their retirement benefits, among other factors, is a big challenge.
And we know that the governor pays as at when due, but that is not the issue. But other benefits are being denied of them. We have some gratuity, both state and local government, which is yet to be paid.
But we are hoping, since the state government has started clearing the arrears it met, it will also help to pay the gratuity to alleviate the sufferings of majority of the pensioners.
Why authorities continue to grapple with the burden of preferring solutions to the pending challenges, retirees hope that this will take effect soon to truncate living an unhappy life in their old age.
All right, I still have in the studio with me the Managing Director, Premium Pensions Limited, in the person of Omar Mairami. And a lot of questions are coming in here, but let me quickly take one. Somebody asked me on, says someone who has just lost his job and is in private sector, can he or she withdraw his money from your scheme to start a business, and how much can he withdraw?
Okay, that person can withdraw up to 25% of the savings after 4 months of losing his job. That period of 4 months is allowed so that the person can probably strive to get another job and may therefore not have need to fall back onto the savings in the retirement savings account. Okay. But the person can withdraw up to 25%, yes. Okay. You know, it used to be 6 months in the old act that was repealed. That's the 2004 act, but the 2014 act made it 4 months. The 2004 act was restrictive to people who probably lost their jobs. But in this case now, even when you resign and you probably decided to do something and that thing fails, provided we do not see contributions coming into your account for 4 months, and your employer confirms that you are no more in employment, then you will be allowed access to 25% of your savings.
All right, let's quickly visit what happened in Benin here, about ghost pensioners.
Yes.
Now, if somebody walks in to your office and says, I have just lost my parents, and somehow they are still alive, how do you investigate? How do you interrogate that so that you don't give someone's money to the offspring, probably who is just being mischievous?
Okay, so it depends on when probably at what stage, what status the parent died. If the parent was an employee, it means that contributions will be coming into the account. And if they are coming into the account, we will get back to the employer and find and confirm. We understand that X and Y person is deceased. Meanwhile, we have seen contributions coming into the account. The employer will obviously respond to either confirm the situation or not. If the person was a retiree and then someone comes to make claims on the account, obviously there are certain documentations that will be required of that person. One of those documentations are things like death certificate, either the will I spoke about earlier on, or a letter of administration, that is given by a competent court and things like that. And then we still go ahead through our own means to confirm that that death actually took place. So we go to the person's residence, and things like that, to ask questions. We carry out what we call due diligence before we effect payment of those monies.
All right. A lot of Nigerians yesterday asked questions that I want to just put all together and ask you. Okay. I've seen one of such question coming up again today. It says, what do you do with the money people are leaving with you? Are you investing it? And various profits, do you remit to the owners? And what's the sharing formula of the profit?
Okay, it is one major difference with the old scheme, because here you see contributions and you know how much you've contributed, the employer, employee, and things like that. And yes, we do invest those monies. And there are guidelines issued by the National Pension Commission to ensure that the investments are safe and they are more or less balanced. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. There are also private equity funds that we can invest in. We can also invest in real estate investment trust schemes, and things like that. So there are a variety of instruments that we can invest in. The important attributes of those instruments are, one, they are transparent. That is, the evaluation is transparent. They are liquid. And you and I cannot be arguing about what value they command on a daily basis. So if you buy the stock of a company on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, every day a price is published. So you and I are on the same page. Okay. If we invest monies in fixed deposits in bank, we know how much it earns on a daily basis. If we buy bonds, subnational, supranational bonds, and so on and so forth, we know how much coupon we earn on those bonds and things like that. Those broad guidelines are to ensure safety, that people do not lose their lifetime savings. So I hope I've addressed the question.
Have, definitely.
Yeah, okay.
And somebody asked a question. He said, I retired in 2019 from FCT until death, yet no get any kobo. He didn't mention which side of FCT, Shabet. That's what his complaints are.
Okay. It goes back to that thing I said earlier on, the collaboration I mentioned earlier.
Okay, you should be able to assess.
Yes. So if that person has done his or her own bit, and at the PFA we are ready to put him on the pension plan, then the question is probably whether the accrued rights, that is what he has earned before this contributory pension scheme came into place, and whether a reconciliation of his account has been done by his employer. If those monies are sent to us, all we need to do is to apply to the National Pension Commission, and within 5 days we get approval.
Okay, quickly now. Yesterday, a lot of people talked about, and you also reiterated it here, that pension is a pain, a real pain, because you don't even earn enough, talk less of saving. And I know that for every forum I have seen you address? You're always talking about a culture of saving, and you can save even out of nothing. How does that work?
Okay, so for me, first of all, we need to be careful about how we use the words. Retirement and pension, people mix, jumble them together. I am looking forward to the day I will retire, believe you me.
Are you serious?
Yes, I am.
What would you be doing?
I have quite a number of things that I will be doing.
Okay.
I'm trying to make some of those investments that I encourage people to do right now, and things like that. And then I look forward to a time when I do not have a regimented life and things like that. But it goes back to what we said earlier on. It's about preparation. So we try to educate people even from the day we onboard them. That is from the day we open a retirement savings account for them. To say, you know what, sit down and make some assessment and see what portion of your salary you spend today, what portion you will set aside to be able to pursue those passions that you have in life in future, what portion you save in your retirement savings account. It's important that you at least have these 3 buckets so that you would be able to plan for your future. The world is evolving, and the African continent and Nigeria will not be different from what we may be a bit late, but we'll definitely get to those stages that the advanced economies have gotten to. In the past, the fortunes of a man are tied to how large his family is, because they go to farm, and they farm, not the mechanized farming. So the more people you have, the better for you. Rural-urban migration has more or less done away with those kind of lifestyles
yes.
and things like that. So we need to really plan from day one how our life would be. How many kids do I intend to have? Yes, God Almighty will give me the number that has been ordained for me. But how many kids do I intend to have? How do I go about their education? When do they finish education? When do I put a roof over my head? And things like that. Because those are things that you cannot afford to carry into retirement.
Okay. Well said, sir. Thank you very much for coming on the show. A lot of questions you've raised, and if we all decide to answer it and answer it well, I'm sure we'll have a better retirement. Thank you very much. We've been speaking with the Managing Director of Premium Pensions Limited, the person of Umar Mairami. Thank you for coming again.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth.
And right
thank you
about
very
now,
much,
we'll
audience.
visit Sokoto. When we come back, when we come back from our break, we'll be visiting Sokoto. Okay, I did mention that we'll be going to Sokoto right about now. When we come back, we'll talk about what they have a little bit.
At least a year to your retirement age, all these arrangements should have been made.
Here is a section of leadership of the Nigerian Union of Pensioners discussing some issues of concern on the plight of pensioners.
In the Western world, especially the USA, you don't have such thing like that. If it's a year to your designation,
I picked interest in the story about the late Ibrahim Yusuf of the Rima Basin Sokoto, a pensioner who died 3 years ago, consequent upon lack of consideration to allow him access part of his savings to pay for critical health care.
They are supposed to be actually.
This is one of many sad stories about the plight of pensioners. It points to the shortfall in the law guiding pensions administration in the country.
This guy has to go up and down, sourcing for money to at least attend to his medical. Unfortunately, this man died eventually after 3 months of suffering.
I could remember it happened to me. I spent 7 months without my pension. But to even my surprise, they said I am no longer alive. So later I have to pass my papers through other people who contributed to help me get my pension arrears.
Even to get that money, when you go to Abuja, you pay for your hotel. How much are we getting? You pay for your transport. And some of them, even to cross roads, some doesn't see well. A long run, if we could knock them down and maybe end up at the hospital. You see?
Even die.
Some even die. So I think the best thing is to relax the law establishing PENCON pay as system, so that when you retire, get your money.
For example, I am under Pension Transitional Arrangement Directory, which is PTAD. And we are receiving our monthly dues. But what is I will ask the federal government to do for us is harmonization of this salary structure. You can imagine somebody receiving 4,000 in a month. Somebody who has put in his best for 35 years, receiving 4,000 in a month. Up till now, the harmonization at least supposed to have improved his present state, but they refuse to implement the harmonization of that salary structure so that it will be a package for every pensioners under PTAD.
We ask the government to review those laws, even if it's taking it to National Assembly, for the president to sign and make it easy for pensioner who retires, who gave notice for about 3 months, gets his money appropriately and completely.
PENCON, unfortunately, their own will have been better, but you don't decide for somebody who worked for 35 years how he should spend his money. I mean, to me, it's an insult. That is personal anyway. You cannot expect me that after 35 years, all that I have done, you have to be ruling it because of your egoistic instinct, because of what you gain. You cannot be trading with my money at the risk of myself and my family. It's unfortunate. They have to look into that and do what is right.
There are enough lessons already in the plight of pensioners to deserve a consideration to refine pensions laws in Nigeria. Unless that is done, the souls of pensioners like late Ibrahim Yusuf would not cease to seek redress.
All right, a whole lot said about plight of pensioners, and I like what the man said. He said, you cannot tell me what to do with my money. For him, he considers it an insult. All right, but that's not to say that we cannot seek counsel when it is necessary if you do not understand how to use the money. Otherwise, there are a lot of scammers around. But now in Lagos State, something different, a little bit different is happening. The state government is looking into ways of ameliorating the plight of pensioners. And NTA took time, packaged a little bit on that and sent to us. Let's see it.
Retirement from work after the mandatory years of service is an inevitable fact. In Nigeria, however, it comes with emotional, physical, and psychological challenges which, if not well prepared for ahead of time, can shatter the lives of individuals and dependents. In these climes, retirees often encounter problems which arise from a loss of the usual monthly salary. Upon retirement, anxiety over accommodation, family upkeep, sustainable source of income, and eventually deteriorating health conditions usually set in for the average retiree, sometimes leading to their demise. This sorry state of affairs make most civil servants dread retirement.
We started using the defined benefit scheme, and because of the fundamental flaws in that scheme, the contributory pension scheme was introduced by the National Pension Commission through the Pension Reform Act. Now, one of the major problems that we had with the old scheme is the fact that it was an unfunded scheme. And what that simply means is that governments were not putting funds aside to meet the liabilities when they fall due. So you had situations where state governments had huge backlogs in the accrued rights and accrued pension and gratuities for their employees.
In a bid to ameliorate the living conditions of retired staff, the Lagos State government over the years has, against the backdrop of the resultant challenges, introduced and adopted the new contributory pension scheme, thus becoming the first state in Nigeria to commence the new scheme with the signing into law on 19th March 2007. Without the guarantee of financial security and a good life, particularly at retirement, it is normal for workers not to give their best in service, sometimes cutting corners to prepare for the proverbial rainy day. With the contributory pension scheme in place in Lagos State, it is expected that life for retirees of the state will be good and not just words on paper.
We want it to be a thing of the past that retirees are just there redundant, not just relying on the stipends they receive as pensions. It's not good enough. It makes one to age very fast. And before you know it, but when you are engaged in this, it's not only a source of income, it's also a source of exercise for you. To keep body so very active and going.
I really want to appreciate the Lagos State government for this program. At least we have been employee for a very long time. Now we will now be employers of labor.
I appreciate what government is doing to make sure that we are trained and retrained. At least that is going to enhance our means of livelihood, and it will make us be better citizens of this country.
With what the government is doing, I really appreciate it, because since I retired, I've been thinking of what to do. And God so good, this is where my interest lies. And I hope at the end of the day, I will be able to make something out of this program.
After many years in the civil service, it is fair to retire with a take-home package which can comfortably sustain individuals at old age. So far, retired civil servants in Lagos State seem to have a new lease of life, as the new contributory pension scheme is bereft of the problems associated with the previous pension scheme. However, more could still be done.
For us in Lagos State, we contribute 5% of employees' total emoluments towards this account. And last year, it was actually increased to 10%. And this is all in order to clear the backlog. We've also introduced a group life assurance policy. And what that does is to give, in case of death, it covers employees to 300% of their total emoluments. And if you die in active service, you get an additional 20%. And, you know, with Lagos State, our pensioners and our retirees' welfare is important to us. We're actually at the tail end of finalizing a health insurance scheme for our retirees.
One thing is sure: the knowledge and evidence of a good life after retirement through benefits and emoluments will only spur on any civil servant to give his or her best while in active service. The ball rests in all our courts.
Okay, at least for a change, there is something cherry coming in from Lagos. And my story here tells me another cherry news is waiting for us in Borno State. Let's go to find out the success story of pensioners in Borno State.
Economic, security, good health, among others, are concern of a man. As a result, pension is one of employees' solid benefits which has positive impact.
After you're putting the best part of your life in serving your state, the governor felt that it is only human, it is only fair, it is only just and equitable that this kind of people should be treated with dignity and honor. So he introduced a system that there should be automatic migration from salary to pension, so long as you have processed your papers on time.
With the coming of this government, up in shore, he was able to release 1 billion naira to settle lower cadre staff pensions, which was carried out around in the months of June of 2019. Subsequently also, about 1,694 pensions were equally settled, with the amount totaling about 2 billion naira still from this regime. Not down yet with, the government had to go to borrow from the Dens Bank an amount of about 12 billion naira to offset the backlog of 2012, 2013, 2014 up to 2016.
Pension is a topical issue in the country and has significantly received attention over the years. It is sorry to see when pensioners struggle and undergo hard processes in order to get their benefits. This act has shattered the plans of many, while some cases have led to fatalities. How then has Borno State government intervened to address pension challenges?
We started now by verifying them one by one, ascertaining their entitlements. Then we brought about 600 of them back on the payroll. We're yet to pay their arrears, but they are now enjoying their pensions. That's for the live cases. For the late cases, we have about 1,500 cases. We're now verifying them. As you know, for late cases, we have to pay the right beneficiary so as to avoid any troubles from the families.
There's a tremendous improvement for the welfare of pensioners, more especially payment of gratuity, monthly pension when it's due, and some part of gratuity and some part of pension arrears. I hope in the whole Nigeria now, I don't think that any state that give a physical cash of 10 billion for the purpose of payment of gratuity.
Good and workable pension scheme is very essential and need to be made easy for beneficiaries.
I get my pension every month and in good time. I really thank this governor for paying us. He pays before 30th of every month. Since I retired, I have never experienced any difficulties in taking my pension.
This government is paying us our pension every month. There's no reduction, nothing. And even as I'm talking to you now, my gratuity is being paid to me.
Personally, since they started paying the pension, I've been receiving my pension monthly. I really commend the governor. The governor is really trying. Honestly, he's really trying. Things are getting better and people are being paid their pension.
Employees' future is important, which needs to be secured. Therefore, government at all levels should put more effort to ensure that pensioners enjoy their benefit happily and peacefully.
All right, it's still Weekend Deal, and we're just returning from Borno. It is a success story indeed, and I wish we can replicate this in all the states. All right, that's it on Weekend Deal this weekend. And while you're wondering if Mercy will stay or Mercy will go, I need you to think about your retirement, because that's where the game really starts. For me, when I retire, it will be my time to live up to the song of R. Kelly, I Believe I Can Fly. I'm sure all of you are waiting for me to sing it. Sorry, I don't have that gift of singing. I have a gift of being a shoe cobbler when I retire. Bye for now.